Here's a little backstory. So, growing up, I always wanted to be in education for as long as I can remember. I was in second grade and had a beautiful, very, very, very professional looking principal who was in charge of my school when I was in second grade, third grade, fourth grade, probably fifth grade even. This lady was always dressed to the nines, always looking very professional. I remember her never raising her voice, but just always commanding respect just by the way she looked, the way she acted, the way she approached us. And so the crazy thing is, growing up, I always wanted to be in education because of her. So I always wanted to be a principal. So when I went into education to be a teacher, before I graduated and started teaching, I got my master's in administration because I wanted to very quickly climb the ladder to not have to teach very long before I got into administration. And listen, I only taught for 4 years and got into administration. And then after 20 years in the education system, I realized that I was working very, very hard for pennies, and the likelihood of ever making more money were slim to none. So 6 years ago, in 2019, I made the very difficult decision after 20 years in the school system, knowing nothing at all about real estate, but knowing that I wasn't happy in my current situation. And a couple of different friends of mine had said to me plenty of times, you would be an amazing realtor. And when I tell you, I knew nothing about what that even meant. I knew nothing about not having a boss. I knew nothing about running a business. Absolutely nothing. But what I did know was that I was not happy in my current position. At that time, 6 years ago, I was a technology supervisor over Acadia Parish School Board, which meant I was in charge of all technology for 28 schools and in charge of a media center, production center, all the things, right? Making $78,000 a year, which in the grand scheme of things, for lots of people, you may think that's a lot of money. That's gross. That's not what you take home. And that doesn't account for all of the drama and stresses and all the things that come along with the job. It's just something that I wasn't happy with. So 6 years ago, I made the very scary decision to leave the school board office and jump headfirst into real estate. But what you will, if you don't know me, I'm the type of person that if I decide to do something, I'm going all in, 1,000,000%. I'm not dipping a toe in it. I'm going all in, and if it doesn't work out, so be it. I'll try something else. But I will always, no matter what I decide to do, give it 100% effort every single day. So if you are thinking about getting into real estate, let's talk about a few pros and cons. For me, growing up and then going into the education system, I never wanted to have a boss. I wanted to be the boss. I wanted to be in charge. I don't like other people's rules. I don't like following other people's rules. I think lots of rules are just silly. And so being self-contracted, of course, listen, in anything that you do, in any career, in any aspect of life, there are going to be rules that you have to follow. But when you're self-contracted, you do not have a boss per se. There will always be guidelines to follow. There will always be state laws and state regulations and national laws and national regulations, of course, and that's with anything that you do. But not having a boss to answer to every single day, for me, is the absolute most important reason that I love real estate so much. So I get to determine what every single day looks like. Every single day of my life, I get to decide what it looks like. So I'm going to give you one example. As a real estate agent, we are mandated to have at least 12 hours of continuing education every single year, okay? Now you can take those hours online, you can take them in person, but you must complete 12 hours of continuing education every year, which I always have way more hours than I need to, because as a former educator, I believe we will never, ever know everything. I will be learning something new until my last dying day on this earth, because I believe there's always something to learn, and there's always knowledge to be gained, and there's always a different perspective. I don't care if you don't have a job, or you're the lowest paid person on the totem pole, or you are the CEO of a major company. I love talking to people and visiting with people, because everyone can teach us something. Everyone. So today, actually, I'm on my way to Lafayette for a continuing education class. I actually forgot the name of it. I don't even know the topic right now off the top of my head. But as I was going through the list of all the different education courses to choose from, it's one that sounded interesting, and it's one that I wanted to go to in person. All of our trainings are 12 hours of continuing ed. There are so many options that are available online. I do not like learning online, because if you are like me, I'm listening online and I probably have 50 tabs open, and I'm multitasking, and I'm cleaning my house, and I'm doing all the things, and I'm not really paying attention when I'm online. But when I am in person, if the instructor is interesting and motivating and knowledgeable, then I'm listening, right? Now, if I get there and they're not so good, then I'm probably going to be multitasking on my iPad, as I should be listening. But hopefully it is a great class. And so a major pro of being a real estate agent is that you get to decide what your day looks like. Now listen, there are some brokerages. Thankfully, I'm not part of one of those, but I would have moved if I would have been. I'm not part of a brokerage where you are required to have phone duty. You're required to go to weekly meetings or monthly meetings. There are no requirements by my brokerage that I ever show up at the office. And that is one reason I'm part of this brokerage. I can take all the classes I want in person, online, wherever I choose to, but there is no mandate from any of my broker people on the top that say you must attend. And there are some brokerages that will require you to have phone duty, will require you to show up on certain days for mandatory meetings. And if you are thinking about becoming a real estate agent, know that there are literally hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of different brokerages that you can work under. I had no idea. So as a real estate agent, until you have 5 successful years as a real estate agent, you must work under a broker, right? So you must work under a broker, which means you'll have to choose a broker. And if you are not sure how to even start the process, call me or message me. I'd love to have a conversation with you. For me, when I first became a real estate agent, a friend of mine actually recruited me, so I went to work with her, and I stayed there just a couple of months when I realized there were so many other different brokerages, so many different opportunities, so many different setups for commission. It was mind-boggling, to tell you the truth. So I've been in 3 different companies. The company I'm currently with is real. It is absolutely the best company I could have ever joined, and I joined in last January of 2024. But the pros of being a self-contracted real estate agent is that if you join a brokerage where they don't mandate things like phone duty and monthly meetings or weekly meetings or other things, you absolutely get to decide every single day what your day looks like. For me, that is a huge pro. I do not want a boss. I do not need a boss. I am fine motivating myself to do what I need to do. Another pro of being a real estate agent is you get to determine who you work with. Listen, I don't have to work with anyone that I do not want to work with. The only caveat to that is that if I am listing a home and a different real estate agent has the buyer, and I have to deal with that person, right? They are going to be on my team, and we're going to be working together to get to closing, so I don't get to choose the person on the other side. And listen, most of the time, I would say probably 98% of the time, I absolutely enjoy working with the buyer's agent on the other side. On the other hand, if I am dealing with the buyer and the listing was listed by a different realtor, then the listing agent is someone who I have to work with, right? So as a real estate agent, another pro is that for the most part, let's say I get a call today from somebody who wants me to list their house, and I can just tell, listen, I'm a very, very perceptive person, and I'm a very good judge of character. So I can tell by someone's tone, by the way that they're speaking to me, the way that they're acting, if they're the kind of person that's a good fit for me. We all have good fits, and we all have different people that we gravitate towards. There are a very small percentage of people in this world that are not good people, that are just rude and condescending. I find that most people are genuinely good, even good people sometimes have bad days, right? But for the most part, people are good. So let's just say I get a call from someone later today, and they want me to list their house, and they're just maybe rude and condescending in any way, shape, or form. Listen, I'm just going to refer them out to someone else. I'm not going to deal with them because I know they're not a good fit for me, but I will absolutely refer them out to someone who I feel like would be a good personality match for them. So a first number one pro of being a self-employed real estate agent, if you choose a brokerage where you do not have any mandates, is you get to decide your own day. You don't have a boss. Number two, you get to work with clients that you feel comfortable working with, that you like, that you feel like you will have a good rapport with, and you do not have to work with clients that you don't want to work with. That is the best thing for me. Listen, sometimes I end up working with buyers or sellers, and I don't realize until later on in the transaction that they're just not very kind people. And listen, I get it to closing. My close rate is probably about 99%. We get it to closing, and I guarantee you the minute we close and I get paid, they're blocked everywhere. And on my phone, on social media, because I never want to see them or talk to them again. Now that's a very, very, very small percentage of people. Most people, we become very good friends, and I want them to be in my life forever. All right, and what's the third pro? The third pro is the money that you can make in real estate is determined by how much energy, effort, and dedication you want to put into the job, right? How much work do you want to do? Some people believe that being in real estate is easy. And let me tell you what, it might be easy compared to some other jobs. Like, listen, there's no real manual labor involved, right? That manual labor to me is the hardest work. The hardest work. When you're out in the heat and you're working on maybe like a tower, or you're working on a rig, or you're a carpenter, all of those jobs where you're outside in the summer, especially in the hot, humid summer of Louisiana, those jobs are hard. Those jobs are grueling. Real estate is mostly mental. It's a head game. Real estate is a head game. So if you are thinking about getting into real estate, know that the money is tied to the amount of perseverance, willpower, smarts, negotiation skills, your endurance, your ability to wake yourself up every day and go to work, because there's no one that's going to wake you up and say, listen, hey, you got to go. You need to get up and go to work. No one is coming to wake you up. So those are the three major pros of being a real estate agent. All right, let's talk about some cons. Hey, listen, I hadn't really thought this out really well, but cons, I would say, are sometimes you have to deal with people who are just not very kind. Sometimes you have to deal with maybe an inspector on the other side, an appraiser on the other side, a lender on the other side, a closing attorney on the other side. You sometimes have to deal with people who are rude, arrogant, condescending, think they're better than everybody. Listen, I fully believe God created us all equal, and there is no one on this planet better than anyone else. We were all created equal. So I'm never going to act like I feel like or I believe that I'm better than anyone, because I'm not. I'm not better than anyone. We're all the same. We're all equal. So I just don't like, that's a con as a real estate agent. But listen, that's in any job, that's in any career. In any job, in any career, you are going to have to deal with sometimes people that are just not very kind and not very nice to deal with. The most important thing in my mind is to just always try to be as professional as humanly possible, because it's not somebody that I'm going to deal with for the rest of my life. It's somebody I'm dealing with on a very short amount of time, and my major goal, always keeping the major goal in mind, is that we're getting to the closing table. We're getting to the closing table. And so the con would be, I would say, sometimes dealing with people who are just not very kind. But that's not often. That is not often at all. In real estate, another con is that you never know when the next business opportunity is coming about, right? You can go from making $0 in one month to making God knows how much in another month. You never know when the next amount of business is coming from, and it's commission based. So if you don't work, you don't get paid. Simple as that. That would probably be the major con. Listen, if you are thinking about getting into real estate and you're not sure how to get started, I'd love to have a conversation with you. You can reach out to me. You can private message me. You can text me. You can call me. Y'all have an amazing day. And remember this, in real estate, there are no stupid questions. Ask all your hard questions. And if you're dealing with someone that ever makes you feel like you're a pain, find somebody else. Listen, just in Acadiana alone, the last time I heard there were 1,800 real estate agents, all right? So there are plenty to go around. Y'all have a great day. Take care.